If you have previously had a baby and you seem to not be able to lose that lower body pooch or a mom pooch and just feel super disconnected from your core, especially after a C-section, then I'm here to tell you that I have been there. A lot of my clients have been there. I have had 2 C-sections myself. And today I'm going to be breaking down what actually happens to your core during pregnancy, what the mom pooch really is, and why it's not just about your body fat, and exactly how I rebuilt my core this postpartum safely and effectively. And if I'm being straight up, I have more definition in my core after kids than I did in my core before kids. I will go ahead and insert a picture here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But if you guys are new here, my name is Nicole. I'm an online fitness coach. I am pre and postnatal certified, and I am also a mom to many. So without further ado, let's jump right into things. Okay, I think when most people think of your core, they think of a 6-pack of abs or just definition on your stomach. We're not just talking about that. So your core is not just your abs. It is your complete diaphragm. It is your lower back, your deep core muscles, your pelvic floor. This is super important to note because we are not just looking at your core from an outside perspective, but rather the function of your core from an internal perspective. So when you're pregnant, your abs are designed to stretch. So your abs may look something like this when you get pregnant. Your pregnancy progresses and your belly grows. It may look more something like this. So the connective tissue between your abs stretch and it gets more thin, which is totally normal. Sometimes the problem is when your abs stretch, they may not regain all of that tension back on their own postpartum. And then this is where we can see things like diastasis recti. Diastasis recti in itself is important to understand. However, I don't want to sit here and throw fear around the subject because it is quite common and normal. And if you've had a C-section, you're healing through multiple layers of tissue, including muscle and fascia, and that type of trauma to your core can affect how your muscles communicate to each other. That doesn't mean that it's broken, but a lot of the times for my C-section clients, it means we have to work a little bit extra on those really intentional core movements. The last thing I'll say about pregnancy is muscle loss is normal, but the good thing about muscle is that we can rebuild it, which is what we're going to talk about today. When you have less muscle and stretched tissue, like we just mentioned, you have less support in your core. So when we talk about that lower body pooch postpartum, it's not just fat, but it's likely a combination of everything that I just mentioned. So stretched tissue, loss of muscle, extra body fat, and even poor posture. Okay, now that we know why and what the heck actually happens to our core, let's get into how I fixed this. So despite what you may hear about starting exercise until 6 weeks, I started my core rehabilitation as early as I think 5 or 7 days postpartum. I was not out in my gym with my barbell. I did not sit there and do 5 crunches. I could barely walk without getting out of breath. But what I did focus on are breathing exercises, diaphragmatic breathing, and just focusing on reconnecting with my core without pushing any exercise just yet. And I just got a little bit more of that actual strength back. Before I even started lifting weights, I transitioned to deep core exercises. So I did things like glute bridges, toe taps, dead bugs. These are the exercises that are going to help heal your core. I don't want you focused on things like crunches or sit-up or planks. More times than not, especially early postpartum, your body is just simply not ready to endure that, and your core is not strong enough for that. And even still today, I'm over a year postpartum, I still incorporate deep core exercises. And to be frank, I did this with my first and second C-section, and this is where I saw the most change out of my core. When I started incorporating deep core exercises and ditched the sit-ups and the planks and the side planks, this is where I really started to see my core become more defined. Obviously, alongside good nutrition, that's super important. Yes, I do perform ab exercises now as well, but honestly, for a majority of my core work now, I do deep core exercises and still add a huge emphasis on that because my deep core is what's going to help me with my bigger lifts as well. So when you are able to get into the gym again, you have a foundation. Because your core acts as a stabilizing muscle, muscle. You do not want to be putting a barbell on your back when your core is not stable. That's why all of this pre-work before the 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whenever you get back into the gym is super important. Some other things you may notice when you're healing your core postpartum is you still may look pregnant. Okay, and why do you still look pregnant after you had your baby? You have to understand that for around like 6 weeks or so, your uterus is still shrinking down to normal size. You'll seem a little more bulgy in that area. Obviously, body fat is a factor with this, but if you also have something like an anterior pelvic tilt, especially because of pregnancy, you can work on your posture to reduce the way that that looks, because when you have an anterior pelvic tilt, it pushes out your belly and makes it look bigger than it actually is. I will insert some of those exercises that you can do to help with that, and I did do a video on this on my Instagram, so I will link that down below. And if you've had a C-section, you may have some overhang from your incision. This also goes into the things that I just said, and when you lose a little bit more body fat, this will become a little less noticeable. You can also do things like massages to help with the overhang a little bit. I did this early postpartum. I was not that consistent with it, but the biggest factor will be your body fat percentage here. So as you lose body fat, you should see this lighten up quite a bit. And again, you lose a ton of muscle when you're pregnant. Muscle memory is a real thing, so to gain it back when you start working out again should not be very hard, and muscle is going to change the way that your body looks. Your core is a muscle and needs to be trained just as such. So if you are postpartum and you are feeling frustrated with your stomach, your strength, or just your body in general, you're not alone and you're not behind. This phase is about rebuilding, not rushing, and it takes time. I'll be sharing more on postpartum, strength, motherhood, fat loss, nutrition, all that good stuff. So make sure you're subscribed. If this video helped you at all, give it a like and comment down below one thing that you are looking forward to postpartum, because we all need a little bit of positivity in postpartum. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.